Hey, welcome back to the New Bold Oola Life channel. I'm your host, David Newbold. Today, we've got an interview between my co-host, Ransom Davenport, and Phil Majcher about faith. But don't worry, this is definitely not your normal faith story. Let's get into it.
Let's get bold. Hey, Phil, would you give us a brief intro of who you are, your connection to Oola, and what your role was in the U.S. Army?
Let's see. Currently, I am Phil Majcher. I'm married. I have 3 children, 9 grandchildren, and I am currently working as a chaplain resident at a VA hospital in Lexington. Let's see, Oola. It began actually with a phone conversation with Dr. Troy, one of the authors of Oola. And then that became a trip down to Las Vegas to participate in Oola Palooza. Prior to that, my wife went to one the year before, and she had a goal that was extremely catalytic for her, so much so that it was life-changing. It was her family goal. And it rocked our world so much that when I went to Oola Palooza, they had her come up on stage and tell the story. And that story ended up in the Oola for the Oola for Women book. So she's in there.
Cool.
And then when the Oola for Christians book came out, because of my relationship with them, they wanted me to do some of the proofreading for a couple of the chapters. I think I've actually physically touched or impacted 4 chapters.
Oh,
wow. When Dave and Troy were taking the Oola bus and going to all the 50 states, when they were passing through Kentucky, I dropped them a message saying, "Hey, can you stop in the capital city?" And what I was able to do is I was able to go and secure one of the Black Hawk aircraft carrier hangars for them to drive the bus into. For I was a military chaplain then, and they rolled the bus into the hangar, and then we invited a bunch of soldiers on the military base to come down and talk with them and take their dreams and stick monsters on the bus. And there was a few soldiers that actually broke down in tears, sticking their dream on the bus. It's really impactful for them.
well, yeah. I mean, did you get a chance to take it around the base? Did they take them for a drive?
Yeah. We went and took them through the drive. Yeah.
Did they have to have like a military transport? Do they have to watch them to make sure they were doing anything goofy?
I did have to ride along with them. As
Security detail, is that what they call it?
Yeah. But it was fun. We brought them over to the larger Black Hawk base, and they were so well received that some of the pilots welcomed Dave and Troy to go and sit in one of the Black Hawks, and there's pictures of them sitting in the pilot seat. So they were well received.
Oh, cool. So that could be for the world, right?
Absolutely.
Cool, man.
So, and as for me, I was a military chaplain for over 13 years. And that experience was, as a chaplain, now I'm a Christian chaplain. I'm officially a Wesleyan ordained minister. But as a military chaplain, your mission is to either to basically provide for the spiritual needs of all the soldiers. Now, given some of those spiritual needs may not actually coincide with mine, but there's still a spiritual need. So I'm either to perform or provide for their spiritual needs. Now,
you were telling me something about that, weren't you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You, because I just remember a conversation. Because when I was talking to you about this, you told me something. You would do that, but it had to make sure it didn't break the military. What's it called? Code of
the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's basically our format of law.
Okay.
all faith is honored in the military, but you have to perform your faith legally. Silly example, but you can't have human sacrifices.
Oh, no.
It's the law.
Okay.
So if your faith includes human sacrifice, you can't do that part of your faith.
I guess it could be a practical thing because it takes a lot of finances to train a soldier, right? And it would be wasteful to, I can understand where they're coming from.
Every soldier has been invested in, like, just basic training is several thousands of dollars invested in that individual. So there is a cost balance sheet.
Well, all kidding aside, like you're talking about, you would be there to basically facilitate whatever spiritual need that is and look like it, whether it is of the same belief as you or not. Right.
Yeah, I would even throw that back at you and say that not necessarily facilitate, but try to find a way to facilitate it. A simple example. I'm a Christian and I believe in the communion and the Eucharist, but yet Catholic Eucharist is different than Protestant Eucharist. Okay, it means something just slightly different. So if I wanted to go and give the Eucharist to a Catholic, they would actually want a Catholic priest, not necessarily me. So for me, I would have to go and find a Catholic priest to go ahead and perform that for them. Another example, and it's a little bit farther off the chart, but
that's okay.
There was this. We were getting ready for deployment. Everybody needs to see the chaplain before they deploy, and I had this one soldier that was from the North Faith. Sweden, Norway, that was his country of origin. And for him, his gods were Thor and Loki.
Hold on, wait. We're talking about what? My only frame of reference is like the Avengers, like.
For me, Marvel Comics was my frame of reference, and I knew that was not an accurate frame of reference. So we engaged in conversation about it, and I learned more about his faith. But he's getting ready to deploy, and here is the one key piece of information that he gave. He said, "Chaplain, if I was going to die on the battlefield, I would have to die with a dagger in my hand." As the chaplain, I said, well, when you get boots on the ground, medic company be attached to you. And if it gets extremely difficult, that medic will probably be responding to you in case it goes to pot. And I told him, it says, tell your medic as soon as you can where your dagger is located on your uniform. And if he determines that you're going to die, that medic will know where the dagger is. He can take it and place it in your hands before you pass away. Now, as a Christian chaplain, did I get him saved? No. No, that's not really what he wanted. However, did I meet his spiritual need? And the answer is yes. Because when that soldier came back from deployment and was struggling, what chaplain did he want to see? This guy. Because I actually cared about his spiritual need. Now, another side story that happened is right before he did leave, I stopped at Whole Foods, which is one of those healthy grocery stores. And my wife was looking for something, and I was cruising down the candy bar aisle. And I found this candy bar from Norway. So I bought it. And then just before leaving, I went and says, "Hey, see me before you leave." And I went and I gave him that candy bar. It turns out that is the exact same candy bar his grandma used to give him as a kid.
Wow.
So, I was able to not only meet his spiritual need, but I was also able to connect with him on a very personal level too.
Man, I would have never thought that until we had the conversation. And some of these stories are new to me as much as there are going to be to our viewers. So man, that's awesome. It really is.
Thanks.
But I got another question here for you, Phil. It was amazing, but I think really the elephant in the room for a lot of people too is what is your personal definition of faith? And how does someone like yourself, who's devoted their life to this, how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, first, I guess I'm speaking just Americans as a whole, but we've made faith into something that it's not. Faith is very simple. Like, I have bumped into people and they said, "Oh, I don't have any faith," and I want to go and throw the BS card on that. Okay, yeah, you do. And actually, for all of our viewers out there, I am going to prove to you that you have faith.
Oh man, you better write this down. We better broadcast this everywhere. He is going to prove it, man.
it's now, for me right now, I'm sitting in a chair, and I think Ransom, you're sitting in a chair as well.
Yep.
And the thing about it is everybody, if you're not sitting in a chair listening to this right now, then you have sat in chairs in the past. So what I want you to do is I want you to reflect the last time you sat in a chair. What did you do? Now, of course, the simple answer is you sat down in the chair. No. But actually consciously think about it. What did you do? You know, for me, my chair's on wheels. So I back, I spun the handles out of the way. I flopped my tail into it, and then I powered up my computer. That's what I did. Okay. And for your experience, when you sat down in the chair, did you first take your hand and push on the chair first, make sure that it was stable? Did you take the back of the chair and wiggle it to make sure that it was attached? Has arms on it? Did you wiggle the arms a little bit, make sure that it was strong? When you first sat down on it, did you sit down on it gently just to go and test your weight on it? Did you do these things? And I think probably for about 98% of our viewers, the answer will be no. And the reason why is because you're pretty confident that when you sat down in that chair that it would hold. You were confident. You knew that chair would support you. So you just basically pulled it out and flopped in it, kind of like what I did. And I guess what I'm saying is that you had faith that the chair would hold you. I know. Really, that is the simple definition of faith. You have sat in chairs for so long that you have developed a faith that the chair will support you. You don't need to test it out because you know that it will. Now look, let's be fair. If your entire life, every single chair you sat in fell apart, you would not have faith in chairs. You just would not.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you have a lifetime of experience of chairs failing you. Now, maybe the very first time you sat in the chair or the very first time you climbed into a chair as a child, it was a brand new experience. You had to go navigate that a little bit. But at 50 some years old, I have a lot of faith in chairs. I've been doing it for a long time. Matter of fact, if a chair would ever fall over on me, I get surprised.
I think we all have it, don't we? That relative who's got that old plastic outdoor chair that they just will not get rid of until the one day you sit in it and it goes collapses. Then, what do I say? Providence has moved upon that chair. Cool, man.
So we all have a level of faith. The thing is what do we put our faith into? And that's where we get to choose.
So you personally looked at life and examined where you decided you wanted to personally put your faith. And not to feed answers or something like this, but it was, you looked at it and you did examine it. And to your perspective, it was the most stable. It was the most trustworthy. It was one that you wouldn't have to come in and constantly, if I'm understanding what you're saying, examine it, tweak it, make sure it's all put together so that it would support you.
Yes. And the most powerful thing about faith is that when you first exercise faith, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be spot on. It's not going to all fall together. Typically, it's kind of like when you were the child and you first climbed into the chair. It was just like, okay, what do I do? And when you first step into faith, it's like, okay, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing. Not sure about this. Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
Because it's something new. And like I said, for 50 years I've been sitting in chairs. I can kind of flop into any chair with no problem. And my accuracy is pretty good too, because I've been doing it for years. It's the same thing if you're going to have a religious faith experience. It is, you have to start somewhere, and it's always awkward and weird. It's kind of like dancing for the first time. What do I do with my hands? But after 50 years of dancing, you already know what to do with your hands.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that's a really good point that you're talking about here, that you went on. And, this right here, I think this would be a really good place for people who are just starting to explore faith to realize it is going to be strange and it's going to be awkward. And, from what I'm hearing, like, you're actually encouraging people, go out there and seek. Go there, find there. Don't be afraid to go and see if what people say is true. Am I hearing you correctly?
That is correct. Now, I know that with our culture, faith, I gave you a very simplistic definition of faith. I know it's way simple. But I know that ultimately when we talk about faith, we're talking about putting our faith in something bigger than us. Okay? And, me, it was God, right? And I know that different religious faiths have different God. And as you step into that journey, you can't say, oh, I tried it, but it didn't work. Well, of course it didn't work. It takes years to actually have it work. No. But it's like that. Here's a bad example. It's a good one, but it's bad. My father pretty much died a smoker. He smoked all of his life, and he was good at it. He was good at it.
I didn't know you were good at smoking. I didn't know.
He could wake up in the morning and he would have coffee and cigarettes, and everybody knew it. Everybody. And he did it for years. But for anybody who has smoked, remember that very first time?
I've tried once, yeah.
Oh, hack, cough, body rejects it. No, this is a bad idea. And it's right. Not pretty. It's not cool. It's not the Marlboro Man at all.
Yep.
That is kind of the same experience with when you try anything new. Now, a more positive one is thinking about riding a bike. Okay, when I started riding a bike, I spent more time on the ground than on the bike. Because that's what happens when you're trying something new. You fall down more times. Even a journey following, Jesus Christ, it's going to be awkward. You're going to fail. You are not going to succeed. That's normal, and it's part of the process. It wasn't until you make a bunch of mistakes that you realize that you can go and put your trust into this. So think of it more as a journey than an experience. And it's a long journey. A life of faith is a phrase that I've heard said, and really it is a life of faith. You can't just be one and done.
And then, you bringing this up actually talks to my experience, and I shared last week my personal faith story and how I actually tested God. But one thing I left out of my story was the fact that I was introduced to Christianity. My father was a preacher's kid, but he was mainly Zen Buddhist. So I grew up in that respect of things, of understanding. And like you're talking about, like I was in this process, and it's kind of like I just kept on trying, but it just got to a point that it would fail, that it was only applicable to one section of my life only. At least this was my experience.
Yeah.
But I wanted to find something that was going to be across the board. something that I could find in everything that I did. You know, the 7 F's of Oola, you know, the fitness, the finance, the family field, you know, friends, fun, and the faith could be the bridging gap between everything. And what I was doing was not it. So through my personal experience, like you're talking about, it was that thing of, it is a journey. And I, you know, just to let people know out there that my journey started, I think, as far from God that I know as God now than anybody else that I know of.
And you've mentioned, you know, how it influences all sections. You know, faith, I think out of all the 7 F's, I think faith is the one that is saturated in all the other 6. And, you know, and again, let's go back to my simple example about chairs. You know, you don't have faith in your spouse or in your children, that's going to affect that F. If you don't have faith in money, just basic money, you're going to struggle with finances.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have faith in the work that you do, that it's making a difference in the world, you know, it's going to affect you. So the faith that I'm bringing to the table is that it's essential for the 7 F's of, and it's saturated throughout. I mean, even if you look back at your marriage goals, don't you promise to be faithful? Yeah. I know.
That's the idea.
You know? And it's really the tenet of marriage, you know, being faithful to the other person. And being faithful to the commitments that you make.
Yeah.
So faith is so essential. And, you know, even if you don't want to bring in the God equation, you know, you have to have faith in yourself.
So it really is, you know, from what I'm gathering, it's a have to. It's not really something that a human can exist without.
You know, if faith was not a have to, I'd really like to watch that person sit in the chair.
Maybe that's what those people are when you see them, like they're apprehensive about everything. You've seen, you know, those jittery people. Maybe that's what they're suffering from.
Maybe they just have a life that's out of balance.
Oh man. Well, Phil, man, thank you so much for sharing with us. And dude, it's been awesome.
Good to see you.
To hear your story. Good to see you, brother. Yeah. Well, I say brother for everybody out there. This is my brother from another mother. I have many. But as we like to say, the people that are either in the uniform now or have previously been there, we just want to tell you thank you for your service, man.
Oh, and hey, speaking about that.
What's that?
I don't know if you know this, but this week is going to be the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam conflict.
Oh gosh, no, I had no clue.
So if you don't mind, to all the Vietnam veterans out there,
yeah,
welcome home.
Yeah, that's very cool. Thank you for that, man.
Sure.
I had no idea. Well, since we're on kind of neat things and cool things like that, you one time, well, let's back up here for a second. Why don't you tell everybody how we first met? This is a cool story.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story, but I'll also tell you how I felt while I was in the story. I was over at your house, and your wife is a great decorator. But while we're there, she says, "Oh, come here, let me show you something." Okay. And all of a sudden, I felt like a junior high kid saying, "Hey, you want to come to my room?"
Okay.
And you went to the edge of your mattress and you pulled out this. I don't even remember what you call it, but it was a blade that long, and I'm going, "We are going to be friends."
Hold on a second. Is it something like this?
Oh gosh, yeah, it was something like that. Where did you get that?
This is not the real one, so I
it's
got
not
the other one because one day I was practicing throwing, and I actually stuck it in. I call it my barn or my shed. It actually stuck into it. And I was like, I don't think I'm responsible enough for this yet. So it's a gladius. It's my trainer. I use it to exercise with and
nice.
practice with because of my martial arts background. But yeah, so just to put a frame around for everybody, basically, I pulled him in the room, and under a mattress I had a real live blade in a sheath, and I pulled it out. I was like, here we go.
Oh, we're gonna be friends.
Oh, and then later on, I got blessed with an experience, and so I'll let you explain this, but you gave me this. I'm wearing this shield of faith, we call it, which is also your coin. So would you explain that to our viewers who may have never heard this before?
There's a tradition in the military, and it's called coining. If a service member does an act that is above and beyond or excels in a particular area, and like a commander or an officer wants to go and recognize them, but it doesn't really meet the criteria of like getting a ribbon on their uniform or a medal on their uniform, because there is certain criteria for those, that they still want to go and recognize them. So what they'll do is they will call that particular service member up in front of the formation, in front of their peers, and they will tell their peers the great thing that they did. And then what they'll do is they'll have their coin in their hand. They'll reach out their hand to shake the service member's hand, and then they'll turn their hand, which will cause the coin to drop into the service member. And then the service member will go and take the coin and they'll place it in their pocket. One of the other unspoken rules is you don't look at the coin in front of the commander, because what it looks like you're judging the quality of the coin in front of the commander, and it's a little impulse. You just put it in your pocket, you say thank you, and then you walk away, and then you brag with your friend, hey, look what I got, later on. But that actually has a long-standing history. Originated out of West Point, which is the college for the Army. And when a freshly commissioned officer, brand new lieutenant, received his rank, the very first enlisted soldier that would go and render the customary salute, that lieutenant would then return the salute and then hold out his hand, and inside of his pocket he would have a silver dollar. And he would shake that other soldier's hand and drop the silver dollar into their would put it in there.
Nice.
That would recognizing you have given me my very first salute.
Now, is there something else around, like, isn't there like a bar tradition with coins?
There is.
You're like, I'm not gonna mention that one, so I'm gonna call it out. It's a fun story. It
is. If you have a bunch of service members and they're sitting at the bar, somebody can go and call for coins, and they'll reach into their pocket and they'll take their coins and slap them on the desk and onto the bar top, and whoever has the highest ranking coin, then everybody has to buy them a beer.
There we go. So fun. So we haven't been doing that. Don't expect me to go out and slam my coin or anything.
Yeah, there is no rank on my coin.
No rank on that coin. Oh man. All right, Phil, we better call this to the close because it's 0600 right here.
Yeah.
So we're doing this interview.
He's
drinking his coffee. I haven't had mine fully yet, so but we do this because we're passionate. We're passionate about the people that are the viewers. We want them to get a sense of truth, faith, and we just want you to go out there and examine it, explore it. But as Phil says, you got to trust it. You got to sit in the chair. You got to try things out, and it's not going to work necessarily the first time. Anytime we believe in something, we've got to do it again and again and again, and eventually it's going to get there. But I think another thing, too, that you didn't bring up, there's some truth around it. If you keep on sitting in this one particular chair and it keeps hurting you and it keeps falling apart and it keeps breaking down, it may be time to move on. That's it. Very simple.
Get a new chair.
Get a new chair. All right, man. Would you do us an honor and just, speak a blessing over the people that are listening? We have the ability in life, it's a thing of faith to either bless or curse things. Would you just speak a blessing over our audience, over our viewers?
Sure.
All right.
Today I ask that out of your infinite power, that you would give them courage. For I know today they will have an opportunity to test their faith. And I ask that you would give them courage to seize the day. That you would guide them. You would never leave them. And that you would give them courage to move forward. Amen.
Amen. That's it.
Go get your Oola life.
Go get your Oola life. And guys, we don't care what you believe in, but you got to believe in something.
Well, actually, it's not that you got to. It's the real reality is that you do believe in something.
That's right.
You need to be honest with yourself. You really do. Even if it's just yourself, or even if it's something else, you do believe in something. And you do believe in chairs.
So fun. All right, man. You have a great day. I'll see you soon, okay? Love you, brother.
See you, man. Catch you later.
Bye.
And that's it this time. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to tap that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. We'll be back next Friday talking about the next Oola F, fitness. Ransom has some great stories and a really strong background in this F, so be sure to check it out. And until next time, remember to seek new challenges, make bold choices, and keep it balanced. Cheers.